On behalf of the University of California, thank you for tuning in to today's UC Alumni Career Network Workshop. My name is Lisa Elkin, and I'm the owner and founder of Lisa PR, a marketing and public relations firm for professionals and small businesses. I'm also a proud UCLA alumna. I look back on my time at UCLA so fondly, and I'm so grateful for the wonderful education, friends, and experiences that I had while at UCLA. It's an honor for me to moderate today's interactive workshop with the fabulous and talented Bonique Edwards. The workshop will focus on advice and resources to help you tap into the power of social media to launch or grow your business. Throughout today's session, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions in the chat feature. To make this an interactive experience, we'd like to ask you to rename yourself on Zoom to include your name, UC campus affiliation, and your business type. You can rename yourself by clicking on the Participants tab, finding your name, clicking the blue More button next to your name, then selecting Rename. Type in your first name, UC campus affiliation, and business type to help others connect with you. You'll also see these instructions in the chat. Without further ado, I'm pleased to introduce you to today's special guest speaker, Bonique Edwards. Bonique owns and operates Kaleidoscope Consulting Group, a full-service digital marketing agency specializing in website development, graphic design, and social media. Bonique's company works with business owners to help them leverage technology and digital media to advance their companies. Her experience includes producing websites and developing compelling marketing materials for companies such as Toyota, Honda, Disney, and the Mayor's Office of Los Angeles, just to name a few. Over the past 8 years, Bonique and her team have transformed social media platforms for business owners through effective social media strategy and social selling. Bonique is also a proud alumna of UCLA. Bonique, thank you so much for joining us today. Please take it away.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. It's so good to see your faces. Thank you for being on camera. I see some fellow friends here as well. I see some people from Berkeley that I know, and I've got some book club members on. So it's good to see everybody here. Thank you so much. We have a lot to accomplish in the first hour. And so I'm really just going to dive right in and kind of get there. I am going to try to leave about 10 minutes at the end for Q&A to go through everything. We will not be sharing the slides, but you did receive a social media checklist that you could download. And at the end, in order to encourage all of you to complete the survey, you will get a list of social media tools and resources after the completion of your survey that will be emailed to you directly thereafter, just so you have something as a takeaway to go through it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now so we can get started. Lisa, can you just confirm for me that everyone can see my screen, the larger screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. So today we're going to try to unspin a little bit of the web and social media. Okay, our agenda is going to be storytelling, the importance of storytelling. We're going to talk a little bit about why we care about social media. We'll look at social media best practices. We'll look at an overview of social media networks, questions, and resources. There are tons of social media platforms that are out there. I'm going to talk about the ones that I think are the most important to business owners versus the ones that are good for individuals. We're going to look at LinkedIn, Yelp, Facebook, Instagram, and we'll also look at Twitter. The first thing I want to do is you're going to see a poll pop up, and the poll is going to really kind of help me to tailor my stories about clients. So I'd like you to sort of put in the chat whether or not you are a service business or a product-based business. And then also if you could let me know, how old is your business? Is your business, within the past 5 years, 5 to 9 years, or 10 plus years? This will help me as we go through the process to kind of tailor the presentation as much as possible. We've got about a few people. This is looking good. I'm going to end the poll in about 2 or 3 seconds. It looks like we have mostly service businesses and newer businesses. Perfect. And can you all see the results here? Perfect. So we've got mostly service businesses here, and it looks like a lot of us are new business owners. So I will try my best to tailor the presentation to that so we're all on the same page. The first thing I want to do is really talk about the importance of storytelling and what that means and what it could do for your brand and how those things actually connect to social media. When I introduce myself, I know a lot of us are familiar with the concept of what's your elevator pitch. And the concept is you get in an elevator with somebody, and by the time you get to their destination, they should know exactly what it is that you do. I've sort of like revamped that, and I really talk about what is my story and then how do I make myself memorable in that. If we were in an elevator together, or if we were together somewhere else, I would start off with this story. A couple years ago, I was in Mammoth, California, and I was on a snowboarding trip. And there were two much younger gentlemen in front of me. And the guy turns around and says, "Dude, how old is that snowboard?" And I said to him, "Well, it's about 10 years old." And he says to me, "Do you know how much the technology has changed since you got that snowboard?" And, wanting to be young and hot all the time in an effort to preserve my youth, I went down, I bought the most high tech, most exciting snowboard. When I walked out of there with that snowboard, the staff were literally clapping their hands. My company helps people who have online platforms that are as old as my snowboard. Kaleidoscope Consulting Group transforms images, and we do that by effective website development, succinct copywriting, and by managing social media platforms. My name is Bonique Edwards, and my company name is Kaleidoscope Consulting Group. So when I start off with my story. I want to connect to people. People are not expecting me to talk about snowboarding as I talk about what's going on. And so I am looking to build a story, and I want all of you to figure out what is the story, what's the compelling part that brings people in so they can be a part of you and feel what they do. Nobody wakes up to look at their social media to be sold something. They want you to tell them a story. So as we go through the process, if you could do me a favor, and I'm going to open up the chat, I want you to see that there are 4 pictures here. There's picture A, picture B, picture C, and picture D. And I just want to throw out some type of thing. So if you look at picture C, what do you think she sells? If you look at picture A, what do you think they sell? When you look at picture B, what type of company do you think that those employees work at? And when you look at picture D, tell me what type of people do you think picture D, what type of company do they work for? So in the chat, if you could do me a favor and tell us what type of businesses you think they are. So I see the chat going here. I'm going to share my screen one more time so we could see it. So picture A, picture B, C, and D. And one of the reasons why this is so important is because a picture really is worth 1,000 words. And the first thing I'm going to recommend, so we've got clothing, services, food, law firms, bloggers, financial advice. So we're all making these guesses of what it is, right? But on the previous picture, you saw my picture had a hashtag on it. So it's something to do with social media. This woman owns a bakery. Here's what's going on. A picture's worth 1,000 words. And so the first part starts with part of your story is how you present yourself on social media. What is the brand you want to connect? People don't respond to things. People respond to people. When you're in the grocery store and you see the magazines on the rack, you don't pick it up because you saw a building. You pick it up because you are interested in the person, the gossip, what's going on. People respond to people. And that's one of the things we want to sort of look at is what is it that we're trying to convey? So I've got one more for us to look at. So the next one, I took this picture from a friend of mine who's also a UCLA alum, and I teased him because I was like, you look like you're doing your Bumble profile instead of your business picture. So this is a pharmaceutical sales company, and they were doing a special for Black History Month. There are 5 pictures here. Name me the 2 that you think need professional headshots. So drop in the 2 letters of the people who you're thinking, wow, they could probably use a professional to do a headshot. A, B, C, D, and E. And when I'm talking about professional headshots, I really am talking about, like, if you look at my left photo, I don't look that good right now. I mean, let's get a photographer out there. Let's get someone to help you do makeup. Let's figure out what you want to do. But more importantly, my brand doesn't have to be as conservative. So I've got jeans in my headshot. I'm very comfortable with that because I do social media. If I was an attorney, I may want a blazer or a jacket on. These are sort of the things that people are looking at when we're doing the pictures. So yes, everyone's coming up with B, C. That's the common thing, right? B and C. So when I go back and I look at B and C, it looks like, while it's a great picture, the black is blending in. It's not getting the right light that we need. We've got some sort of logo t-shirt here, which wouldn't be the optimal for his business photo. And he's wearing a snowboarding or a ski blazer or something like that, right? This is a conservative organization, pharmaceutical sales company. This would not be the best headshot to reflect his brand. She looks like she is a nurse. It looks like there's something fun, something kiddish on this shirt. And the lighting is all wrong because there's like this wood paneling going on behind here. So if I were coaching these two people, I would say to them, the first step is take new photos. How do you want to show up? What is the brand that you want to present? So now we're really going to talk about what is the opportunity. Why is social media so important to us? So when you look at what's happening from a social media perspective, you've got social media marketing spend is exceeding $17 billion. Social media is also more cost effective than traditional advertising. Social media can be a tool for you to brand and hire employees. But the biggest thing you have to understand is we are business owners. We are not social media influencers. So social media is not a get rich strategy. It takes time. You have to work at it. You've got to be thoughtful about it. You need to have a strategy about it. It's not something where wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, you're an instant overnight social media success. I will also say that we are talking about doing another class where it's social media advertising. There's some branding you can do, which we're going to talk about today, which is more organic. But if you're looking to actually drive revenue for your product or your business, you will have to pay to play. All these companies are publicly owned companies, and their goal, their focus all the time is, how do I make more money? Our focus today is, how do you get down the basics and start branding yourself and make yourself relevant? So what you want to ask is, what's in it for me? But more importantly, what you want to do too is you want to ask, what's in it for my clients? Why do my clients want to buy from me, right? So you want to be able to extend your brand globally. Customers are going to find you because they want customer support. The internet and social media is the ultimate equalizer. Because of Yelp, because of social media, now companies need to be accountable for their actions online. With that said, it connects to why you need to build your brand online. When you look at traditional marketing mediums right now, they're just too expensive. And so one of the great things that you could do from a social media perspective is this allows you to tap into multiple people and not have to spend the same money that we were doing traditionally with the billboards or radio ads. More importantly, social media is one of the most trackable forms of marketing. You can track it, you can see everything. Right now, the average American, because of COVID, is spending almost 2.5 hours a day on social media. That means that if you're not on social media, your business is not being seen. So now we're like, I'm in. What are the next steps? What's going on? You all received this 2-page document. It is a legal size sheet of paper. So this is the one that you can download. So if you're wondering why you're having a hard time printing it, it's because it needs to print on legal instead of a standard 8.5 by 11. So all of you received this regular good cheat sheet, and it really talks about how do you clarify your message, define your strategy, set your goals, and you should identify everything. So for example is, our brand is happy, happy, joy, joy. When people die, we don't post about it. Not to say that Bonique as an individual may not post about it, but my company Kaleidoscope, we don't do memorial posts. You have to start figuring out, who does my company want to show up as when we're going on it. Social media should follow the 3 E's. 1 is engage, 2 is to educate, and 3 is to create excitement. We want to engage with our audience. We want to educate them about our products, our services, educate them about the field. But more importantly, we want to get them excited about something new, something's happening. We want them to get on the bandwagon and be excited about what's going on. The next thing is, why are they going to follow you? They're going to follow you to learn more about you. They're going to follow you because they want to be able to access you quickly when there's a customer service issue. They sometimes want to know what top executives are thinking. We saw that in the Black Lives Matter, we saw a lot of people saying, what does my executive say about this? Who's going to make a statement? People want to know what's happening. They want to know the human side of your company, right? Don't be afraid to be personal. Don't be afraid to show your kids or your dog or whatever makes you passionate. They want to be amused. And you want to avoid duplicating content on the same platforms. Now, there is a lot to be said for this because Instagram and Facebook will allow you to post on Instagram and post on Facebook, and they give you credit for it with their algorithms, which is a good thing. However, you still want to create unique content for different platforms because if I am your consumer, you've got to encourage me to follow you on more than one platform. But if I see that you're posting the exact same content on Facebook, that you're posting on Instagram, that you're posting on Twitter, there's nothing in it for me to continue to follow you on all those platforms. So when you're thinking strategically, the important stuff you can post multiple times. But let's say, for example, you're out and about. If you take 5 pictures, put one picture of that event, location, activity on Instagram, the other one on Twitter, the third one on Facebook. You don't have to post the exact same content every time. The next thing is you want to keep it real, keep it engaging. When you look at this picture, who doesn't want to be a part of this? Woman's got her 2 dogs in. This looks like fun. It looks like Halloween. She looks like she's staying active. She's staying current. She's being funny. You want to make sure you do all that stuff. You want to use imagery to create an emotional response. More importantly, you want to be able to look at optimizing posting times. If you go into your platforms, whether that's Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, a lot of times they'll tell you when people are engaging with you the most. When they tell you that, you use that to say, oh, my sweet spot for posting is this time. Then you continue to post at the times where you know this is going to happen. Social media influencers have really taken over the world and have become more powerful than even really advertising. So a social media influencer can be anyone from Bonique, which I'm not, to a celebrity like a Beyonce sort of thing. And these are people who use their status to help move a product along. There is a young girl who is going to UCLA Medical School right now, and she's really big on working out and exercising. And so all these companies send her workout clothes. She models the workout clothes. She works out in those clothes. And then next thing you know, the company sells out of whatever she was wearing that day because people want to be a part of it. And so that's how a social media influencer is going to work for a product. Social media influencers can work separately for service businesses. Let's say, for example, that you are a law firm and you performed a service for me. Let's say, for example, you did my prenuptial agreement and I'm excited about it. My spouse is excited about it. We go through it. I could then become an influencer for your company because I can post and tag your company and say, oh my gosh, I just got my prenup. We're excited. We're planning. We're doing the whole thing. So I can become an influencer for your company because I'm going to brag about you, your services on that platform. And I have another example later on in the presentation where I'll show you a law firm that does trust planning and how they've been able to capitalize off of influencers for their organization as well. Again, feel free to take your phone, take pictures, whatever it is. Here's what's going on. So there's definitely some rules of the road. Here's the ad that our office created. So when I talk about be consistent with brand, so our client Lex Service, they focus on servicing Lexus and Toyota cars, right? So yes, we can have fun with it, but we're on brand. I would not post the same picture of someone knitting for the weekend. That would not be on brand. That would not be the same tone. It would not be the same voice, but we can still have fun and stay on brand when it comes to, hey, let's ride. Here's what's going on. We do these repairs. We want to act transparently, and we want to make sure that we are creating an authentic experience so people want to engage with us. And again, people are buying personality, they're buying your energy. It's less about the widgets or the product. It's more about, hey, I want to buy because I want to actually do business with you. I'm excited to be with you. Photos, 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 photos. Graphically tell your story. You want to avoid really long biographies on your images. Keep them clean, keep them neat. The second thing is video, 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 video. Over 60% of things on Facebook right now are using video. And the key is the same way that we see the closed caption happening right now in our Zoom call. The key is for your videos to also have closed captioning. So that way, if someone is not looking at the video with their audio on, they could still see what the message is. And that message encourages them to actually go on. One of the sweet spots we'll get to is people check social media a lot right now during the lunch hour. So if I'm checking it during the lunch hour, if I'm in an office still, obviously most of us are still at home, I may not want to check it with the sound on, but the closed caption allows me to see what the message is going to be. The number 2 search engine in the world right now is YouTube. So photos are important. You want to create your own YouTube channel. So that way you create a channel for you, the individual, you create a channel for you, the person. You want to make sure you first upload all of your videos to YouTube first before you post them on, for example, Facebook or Twitter. Those same videos can be loaded directly onto Instagram, but you still want to keep all your content and data on a YouTube channel, because we know that if YouTube is number 2 search engine, you want to show up that way. You have to purchase the photos that you don't own. 95% of every picture that you see in this PowerPoint presentation is because I went and actually downloaded the picture from purchasing them. When my company was new and we were doing these websites for people, we would post them up and then they weren't live, but we were showing people, hey, this is what we think this picture should look like. Getty came after me and my company, and it was a very expensive $12,000 mistake. So what I can tell you is, you can choose not to listen to me, but I would say you should listen for my $12,000 mistake. You can't just go online and snag a photo and put it on your website or put it on your social media page. What you'll see is people will do and they'll tag someone saying, hey, or they'll regram someone like, hey, I'm going to regram this and what's going on, and give credit where the photos do. But don't make it a habit of just pulling photos down off the internet, because if someone's in a bad mood, they'll come from you and then they'll be looking to be reimbursed for their photo. The same thing happens with music. So you have to be very careful when you're using music. Facebook actually has very strong algorithms where they will pull you down if they don't believe that the music has been purchased and the people have been paid for the musical rights. So make sure that you take the time to purchase those things that you don't own. Nobody wants to read this. I don't want to read it. As great as I think Rita Wilson is, but nobody wants to read this. This is an example of where we've got way too much text on the photo. You want to keep the photos clean and crisp, and you put the copy in the body of the area. You want to keep it super clean so no one has to do all these things. You only have a couple of seconds, particularly on Instagram, to engage me, to make me stop. Your picture has to be strong enough and compelling enough to where I want to actually read what's at the bottom. That's why we don't put all this text in the photo. When you think about this, I want you to think ADA compliance, Americans with Disabilities Act. If you can't read it right now on my screen that's not enticing, imagine how much worse this looks on my mobile phone when I'm actually going through social media. So think ADA compliance when you're doing photos. Here's an example of stuff we've done for clients. We're keeping it clean. We've got big pictures in there. You got the who, what, when, where, why, and any sort of details about what the unconscious bias class is about, or any details about what Felicia Rashad is going to talk about. All those details will go in the body area. They do not belong in the photo. So we just want to answer the who, what, when, where, why in the photo, keep it clean, keep the graphics clean. The next thing is angles matter. I took this picture earlier this year in Nice. And if you'll notice, when people are taking a picture, they love to go get in front of an enormous structure. This structure has got to be 20 feet high. If I go stand in front of it, you actually can't see my face. Structures are already big enough. You can already see them. So the key is to stand several feet away from the structure so you can see how awesome the structure is. You get close to the camera, and then that way on the picture on the right, you can see my face, you can see my smile, and then behind me, you can see that I love Nice. I don't need to go stand right by the hashtag. This is the biggest mistake that people make when they're doing pictures. The reason why selfies are so great is because we can see people's faces. So people take a selfie, I'm right here, I'm super close. So when you're taking pictures, stand away from the object that's big enough and go from there. Seduce your clients with words. So you want to create a really compelling topic sentence, right? And so you want to be able to, like we talked about, telling a story, keeping it really simple. So what I'll do is on my platforms, a lot of times is the first sentence or the first line, I try the best to be clever, to be witty, and then all the details from there, because what I want to do is entice you to read more. When you're posting, no one wants to read long paragraphs. So even though it may be grammatically correct, you want to do short paragraphs. So basically, every sentence becomes its own paragraph. Very similar to where if we were reading a paper back in the day, we used to read them on paper. But in journalism, what they do is each unique sentence starts a new paragraph, so it's easier to read. You should think that way as well when it comes to doing those things. If you have an event, then you want to use capital letters, register here. Other than that, you want to just keep it really brief and to the point. Use emojis to bring attention to your copy. If there's an opportunity for you to add an emoji, then you should do that. And then you want to just figure out, how do I be fun? How can I create engagement? How can I get the crowd going? Tagging is awesome. And so I'm going to talk about what it does and how you can use it to grow your business. Tagging transmits information to people, businesses, or locations. Previously, we would do tagging. Let's say, for example, I'm with my girlfriends, we're going to wine country. I would tag all of my friends in the picture and they go, oh yeah, this is a picture of us and we're having wine, whatever it is. Let's talk about how this is transformational for businesses. I have a client that had a food truck, and in the beginning of the pandemic, he wanted to get press to show up to his food truck because he was donating food for free to first responders. And he says, I can't afford a PR person. And by the way, I'm pro PR person. But he's like, what can I do? I want to get the press out. And I said, go to your location an hour before. And as you're doing the setup, tag the local news media. So on Instagram, he went in, he did a post of his location, what's going on. He put on there free food for first responders, and he tagged KTLA, Channel 9 local news. He tagged Channel 11, Channel 2, CBS local. 3 trucks showed up that day because it was a low news day, and he literally got fresh press, and he goes, oh my God, it worked. That's how tagging works. If you are a muscle builder and you want to be featured in someone's online presence, then you tag a picture of you with your great, awesome body, showing your muscles, and you tag the people who you want to recognize you. So you tag all of the muscle magazines who have social media profiles. So tagging is not just about tagging your friends. Tagging is about, where do I want exposure? I sometimes, if I have something new or a new idea, I'll tag my clients. So when we started designing Zoom backgrounds, I went in and tagged all my clients and said, hey, here are Zoom backgrounds. They get the tag on their Instagram, and literally 5 clients said, yes, please create a custom Zoom background for my business. I saw it because you tagged. This is the underused opportunity that people are not using effectively. This is how you get the exposure that you need, right? You don't want to over tag. So if you have tagged CBS 20 times and they are not responding to you, you can stop. They're not interested. Or whatever you're presenting to them, they just think that it's not newsworthy. So you don't want to become a nuisance, but you do want to make sure that you're doing the tagging. In Instagram, you can tag the photo as well as the copy. I recommend tagging the photo, and then I recommend tagging the copy when I want to highlight another business. So if I want to get the press to show up, I'll tag the photo. But if I want to give acknowledgement to another colleague or a client whose business is doing great, I'll tag in the body area of the post. Hashtags create fans. This is really the secret sauce for Instagram. Back in the day when we used to go to libraries before we had this lovely thing called the internet, the library system has it's the best way to describe it. They have the Dewey Decimal System. So if I go in and I say, hey, I want the autobiography of Helen Keller, and the Dewey Decimal System didn't work, then you'd go and there'd be millions of books and you wouldn't know how to find Helen Keller, right? You like, just go here, just look for it. That doesn't seem very efficient. What hashtagging does is it indexes and categorizes your content. So let's say that tomorrow we want to go to Puerto Vallarta. I can go and pull up the hashtag for Puerto Vallarta. And anyone who's been to Puerto Vallarta is going to tag all the great things that they've done. So hashtags allows you to categorize content, and then you can see what's going on. Why this is powerful is because you can also use this as a marketing tool for yourself. For example, my sister and I had an Amazing Race party. I was turning 45, she was turning 40, and we did Amazing Race. We created the hashtag of Bonique and Belva. So when you had to go and you raced around the city of downtown LA, you had to use the hashtag of Bonique and Belva to get to the next clue and to verify if you've gone it. Even now, if you go to the hashtag Bonique and Belva, you will see all the pictures from the Amazing Race party that we had. So companies can use custom hashtags for promotions, ideas, giveaways, etc. It becomes a very powerful tool that people are not using to help grow their business. So everyone's like, what's the hashtag do? The hashtag indexes. When you're posting on Instagram, you can also follow a hashtag. For example, the most popular hashtags of 2020 were Black Lives Matter and COVID-19. So you can go and say, I want to follow everything Black Lives Matter, or I want to follow everything COVID-19. So it's going to pull everything from Monique's post to Dr. Fauci's post or whatever it is. You can also follow content based upon the hashtags. When you go to post for yourself, you want your post to have 8 to 11 hashtags. And what you may want to do is kind of create some of your own. So if you're a mediator, you create a mediation hashtag, but you also want to go to your competitors and you find your competitors by looking them up through hashtags and see what hashtags they're using and what's trending. The way that you start getting an organic following is based upon the hashtags you're using. Hashtags do not matter on Facebook. So I see people who put them all the time on Facebook. No one cares. Facebook doesn't index that way. Hashtags are relevant on Twitter and Instagram. So understand that what you're doing for Twitter may not be what you do for Instagram, and it may not be what you do for Facebook. Here's an example of hashtags gone all wrong. I'm sure that Amazon wanted to say it was Amazon's hit car show, but instead it looks like Amazon's shit car show. So I want you to give yourself some grace when you start this process, because if Amazon and Burger King can mess this up, you can too. So Burger King meant to say, what the French fry? And you and I both know that's not what this hashtag says. So these people paid a lot of money to do these lovely hashtags and get them out, but sometimes hashtags can go wrong. So when you are doing your hashtag, stop, pause, look at it, and make sure that it doesn't have a double meaning. Years ago, when Chevrolet introduced the Nova car into Mexico, they couldn't understand why it wasn't selling. And finally, this is why diversity matters. Someone says, do you know that Nova means no go in Spanish? And they're like, oh. So of course, nobody wanted to buy a car called No Go. So as you're starting this process, you have to really sit and pause and say, what does my hashtag say? And am I sending the right message for my brand, for my business? Okay, posting times. The sweet spots are Tuesday through Thursday at lunch. This is also very similar to when you send an email blast. Let me say that. Nobody wants your email blast on a Monday or a Friday. On Friday, I'm trying to end my day and get home. And on Monday, I'm stressed out because too many people worked over the weekend. I was hoping they didn't do that. So your ideal time really is that Tuesday through Thursday. Then it gets more specific based upon the platform you're using. So Instagram is lunchtime and evenings. Facebook is 1 to 3 p.m. during the week and on Saturdays. Engagement's higher on Thursdays and Fridays. For Facebook, the worst day is Sunday. LinkedIn is Tuesday through Thursday, then Wednesday 8 to noon, And then LinkedIn, there's no need for you to post on the weekend. No one's looking, nobody cares. LinkedIn is not a social thing that people look at. Twitter is Wednesday and Friday, 9 a.m., and then Mondays from Friday from 8 to 4. People who tweet are tweeting way more content. And so you have to kind of like get caught up in the feed and hopefully you can catch it. Tweeting after 10 p.m. is not going to really help anybody. So there's no need for you to tweet after 10 p.m. This is the best case study, I think, and this is the stuff that like just gets me all excited. The Popeyes chicken wars was the best thing ever. So Popeyes did not have a chicken sandwich. Chick-fil-A was the creator of the chicken sandwich. And so Chick-fil-A, people started word of mouth advertising saying, wow, here's what's going on. Has anybody had the Popeyes chicken sandwich? Anybody had the Popeyes chicken sandwich? And then Chick-fil-A does a post that says bun plus chicken and pickles equals love for the original. Like, everyone should focus on the original chicken sandwich. Popeyes changed the game with these small words that said, y'all good? Did I move it? Did I lose? Oh, I went too far. They had these words that say, y'all good. Everyone started retweeting. It went viral. Then they started using the Chicken Wars hashtag. Literally, Popeyes became the top of the Google search engine. Popeyes stores started getting an increase of 256%. Those franchise owners were loving life. Then they sold out of chicken. And talk about a company that could pivot. They pivoted. They're like, okay, no problem. So then they had the BYOB campaign, bring your own bun. So then people start showing up to Popeyes with their own bun and they're putting them in there. They lost employees. Employees are mad. Employees are frustrated. They're being overworked because everyone wanted this chicken sandwich. This one tweet gave them $87 million in value from an advertising campaign. If this does not convince you why we've got to be on social media, I do not know what can. This is just like goodness all over it. It is just the best thing ever. Somebody came up with this brilliant idea. So when you go to measure success, it's not always sales and revenue, although those things are really good. Comments and shares are really the social media gold, right? Likes are great. When people click to your website, that's great. But more importantly, building an authentic and organic following will engage you. If you are encouraging people to go to your website needs to match the content on your social media platform. So let's say, for example, I use a lot of attorney analogies because I work with a lot of attorneys. Let's say, for example, you're an attorney and you do wills, you do prenups, and you do divorce mediation. Well, if you're advertising for divorce mediation and I go to your homepage and you're talking about wills, we have a disconnect. So you have to make sure that if your social media feed is driving to the website, you have to make sure that the homepage, the landing page, the most important page is connected to whatever it is you're marketing on your social media platform. Okay, I want to make sure everybody's still awake before we head into the last section of our activity. We are doing another poll. If I could get my team to help me, I want to know who's currently using social media for business. See how I'm doing on time? Oh yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. Okay, this is good. 60% of you are using social media for business, and the other 48% are like, hey, I need to figure this out. Let me see what's going on. So we've got 60% of you who are using it. One of the things I want to make sure you're doing is you've got to make sure there's diversity of photos. I don't want to see the same headshot of you 20 times on your feed. I don't want to see the same image of your event that you're speaking at. You've got to sort of mix up the imagery so I can have diversity of imagery, thoughts, platforms, etc. So now what we're going to do before we open it up for questions is kind of really drill down a little bit into some of the platforms and talk about some of those best practices for each of those platforms. So LinkedIn, one of my favorites. We want to use it because there's 3.48 billion people doing it. It's one of the best ways for you to source and attract talent. You can drive traffic to your website. LinkedIn is going to be one of the better platforms if you are business to business. So service businesses are going to perform higher than product businesses on LinkedIn. So if you're in a service business, your bread and butter, your gold is going to be there. So I would spend my advertising dollars there. That's where I would go. LinkedIn recently launched something called LinkedIn Learning. This is one of my favorite things. If you are good at something and you're willing to go do a video and be seen on camera, you can upload your videos to LinkedIn Learning, and every time someone watches it, LinkedIn will pay you for it. Does it get better than that? So if you have something exciting, something compelling that you want to educate people about, you go get it on video, put it on there, and then you get residual income. So LinkedIn is going to be really good for you. What you want to do, it first starts off with a personal profile. Personal profiles, this top line here, if you look under Jacqueline, it says Senior Integrated Producer, Virtual Event Manager, Experiential and Corporate Event Planner, and Project Management. That is the most important part of your LinkedIn profile for you, for your business, for whatever it is. The headline controls everything. Make sure you're choosing a good photo. Make sure you have at least 50 connections. And if you haven't done so, make sure you go in and get a custom URL. So her custom URL is Jacqueline-Bow. Do not add people who you don't know. There are tons of people from other countries who are looking to access your database, your network. And so if you do not know them, I do not recommend them adding. It's not like Instagram, not where you're trying to get as many followers as possible. On LinkedIn, the expectation is that if I see you and I call you and I ask you to make an introduction, you can make an introduction. If I am meeting anyone, whether it's online or for coffee or whatever it is, the first place I go is their LinkedIn profile to understand who they are, what they're about, so we can have a better conversation or meeting for business. Your LinkedIn profile is critical to your success. The second thing is when you start looking at how do you create a business profile, I want you to spend more time looking at what is your banner going to say. So if you look at the right, we've got this woman who goes, it's not what brands say, it's what they do that matters. And then she's kind of like taking the spray paint out to basically say, it's what brands do that matters. That speaks volumes to what she does, where she made me feel like I need to elevate my game because I've got this great superhero here, but no one knows why the superhero is there. So I'm using myself as an example to say, I need to upgrade my banner too, because her banner is doing a better job of branding than even mine does. So while the imagery is there, I'm not telling a story of what that actually means. Go through and ensure that your employees are correctly tagging your business and connecting to your business page. Want to go through and ask customers for endorsements. It's really helpful. And then maybe you should endorse some other people that you liked. You saw their business, you saw their presentation, you want to do things like that. On LinkedIn, your funny memes and your witty posts are not applicable here. This is a very professional space. It's a lot more conservative, and it's really designed for business to business transactions. It's not designed to make me laugh. So you want to keep those things in mind when you're looking at your LinkedIn profile. Yelp, we're all familiar with Yelp, which keeps us all accountable. Even if you're a service business, it does not matter. Claim your business, thank your customers, check in, you could do offers, always contribute to the space, write positive reviews, etc. Note internationally, people use TripAdvisor more than they use Yelp. So if you have a business that caters to travel, international people, or anything like that, I would say that you should add that on. So you want to add that as one of your social media platforms. Okay, Facebook is king. Facebook is king, and Facebook is king. And even in 2021, Facebook is king. Instagram is queen, and she's bad, but she's the queen. Facebook is still the king. So when you go through, if Facebook were a country, it'd be larger than China. 7 out of 10 adults have a Facebook account. 74% are high income earners, and 74% of Americans use Facebook daily. 60% of Americans are watching videos on Facebook. This is really important to know. Now, what I will say is the fastest growing segment on Facebook is over the age of 60. So that's great for AARP, but maybe not as great for all of our businesses. So right now, Facebook is king, but let me tell you, the queen is very powerful, which we'll get to. Now, the reason why Facebook is king is because they have so many options. They have event registrations. They have chat that comes right to your cell phone. They've got a business page. They got groups. They have Facebook Live, Facebook Watch. You can now date on Facebook. That is why they are king, because they have an array of all these lovely options. One of the things you want to know, though, is that I have a business page, for example, but nobody cares to go to my Facebook business page. So for smaller companies that are not, and when I say that, I mean like we're not Coca-Cola, we are not Starbucks, we're not the NFL. Smaller businesses are going to connect with you, the person, which is why your personal brand is so much more important. So a lot of times, if I want to convey something, I may use my personal page to convey something, even for business purposes, right? You want to know that Facebook Stories is attracting over 500 million users daily. Stories, the content goes up and down after 24 hours unless you save it, but there's still value in the stories. And you can sell products directly from the Facebook store without having to spend a lot of money for a website where you want to sell a product. More importantly, Facebook has made event promotion for Facebook Live, for events, really, really good. Pages versus groups. Facebook pages for your business, and the groups are, for example, my book club has a group. I'm allowed to only allow my book club members in it. It can be made private, it can be public. I'm in other Facebook groups of people who travel, etc. So groups are something that's shared between members. I used to be a group of people who had Labrador retrievers. There could be a group for anything. You see it on TV, people who play the harmonica. That's what a Facebook group does. Then the page is what you're going to create for your business. And that's where you can sell things, do events, post job openings, do all those things. So you can use a group or a business page to engage with your clients. Best practices. You want to keep it fun and interactive, and you want to make sure that you figure out, what do my people want? What's going on? How do I create a contest? You need to understand that your Facebook feed gets filtered by Facebook. Let me explain what that means. If your people are not continuously updating, liking, or engaging with you or your business, then Facebook will not feed all of your content to your clients or your followers. So let's say, for example, you have 100,000 followers. If only 20,000 of them engage with you regularly, only 20,000 people are going to see that post. The other 80,000 will never see your post because it's filtered. And then here's where they get you. They get you on the back end because they'll say to you, do you want to advertise your content to your existing people? And you're like, wait, aren't they my people anyway? And so no, they're like, nope, we'll get you to your people. They're low-hanging fruit, but you need to pay to ensure that we put your content on the pages of your people. Public company now, it's a little bit more aggressive. So you have to make sure that your content is being seen. It happens the same way with friends, right? If I have certain friends who I like, their stuff always shows up in my post. And then if someone goes, well, you didn't see my Facebook post, you're going, no, because you haven't liked them, you haven't engaged with them, you haven't put a comment on there. So when you do that, their algorithms will start changing the content. Let's get to the queen, my favorite. She's badass, for lack of a better word. She has indexing. So she has the ability to use all the hashtags. But more importantly, because she is the queen, Facebook will charge you less money to advertise with the queen. So if you have a product or a service that deals towards a younger audience, and when I say younger, I mean 45 and younger, if you are geared towards that, then you use the queen to market your services. Now, with Instagram, it's trickier because how you post, what you post, all that stuff matters, because everything is so visual that you have to really focus on being authentic. So a lot of times you see all these brands that are advertising from Asia or other countries. If you go look in the comments, you'll see the people like this, I never got the product was cheap, etc. That's the things you're going to look at. You can take the comment feature off, but when you take the comment feature off, people don't trust your brand. And the goal is to create authenticity, which is why it's really needed. When you're in there, try to respond to direct messages within 24 hours if possible. People are going to have questions. People are going to go, what's going on? Linking is tougher in Instagram than it is in Facebook. So if you want to do an organic link, you've got to say, hey, see the link in the bio. But if you advertise, because Facebook is a public company, if you advertise, they'll allow people to link to your website right away. So Facebook wants you to pay to play. Now, I'm sorry, Instagram, but Facebook owns Instagram. What's great about Instagram, though, is there's no filters on feed post. So if I post about my lovely dog, everybody who follows me is going to see my dog. If I post about my best experience at Starbucks, everybody who follows me at Starbucks is going to see that. So the benefit of Instagram is I don't have the filtered feed. All of my people who are online who go to it will see my feed because they follow me. This is one of the best examples of a law firm that basically they are creating a viral success. This is a law firm that does estate planning and trust. And on a side note, we all need this. COVID's happening and people need trust. So what they did was they created a box for the trust, and the box at the top says happy signing day. Then they say all the best, Robin and Portia, and they put a note in it. And on the black part, that black binder goes inside the box. Well, if I'm the consumer and I get this box, I now can open it. So then now I'm going to put it on Instagram, and then I'm going to tag the name of the law firm. This is why Instagram matters. And it's the most creative thing I've seen a law firm do, because they've created something and made it special, and they made it an Instagram worthy or social media worthy experience that I want to be a part of. And this is how you get your clients to become social media influencers in the game. Photo selection matters. Both ads are the gap. The ad that performed the best was the one that was experiential. People want to make memories. They want to be engaged and inspired. So while they both perform well, the one with the kid, same Gap clothes, same Gap brand, this one far outperformed the stage photo from the Gap. We want to be happy, create memories, etc. Okay, I am running short on time and I see that. So I'm going to pass up a couple of these things and kind of go through. Okay, tweeting, some things you should know about tweeting. I don't tweet. Don't look for me there. It's not my thing, right? But here's some important things you want to kind of keep in mind of. There are more Democrats than Republicans who tweet. 42% of Twitter users have a college degree, and Twitter has more male users than female users. So if your clients are men, you should be on Twitter. My clients are women. I'm not on Twitter. Twitter is best for news outlets, CNN, places like that, LA Times, larger corporations, social media influencers, or celebrities, because they're going to have a name, a following, etc. If you are new, you're just getting started out there, and I'm not that clever, I'm not that witty, I don't tweet, but you should sort of know some of the stats and statistics that go behind it. I'm skipping some of this. Okay, my favorite things. Hootsuite and Sendable allow me to schedule my posts in advance for a month, a week, 5 years. It doesn't matter. It is my favorite tools. iStock Photo is cheaper than Getty Images, so I use iStock to purchase my photos. Promo.com allows me to create really compelling videos. Canva allows me to create social media ads that look really good and look really professional, and I don't have to pay a graphic designer to do it. And Tiny URL allows me to take my really, really long URL and condense it. So when I say see link in bio, see link here, the link is not 20 pages long. You will get a more exhaustive list of your favorite things when you get the survey. And so I have a master list of about 25 items that are my favorite tools and resources. Let me start by saying that social media is a lot of work. And I understand the small business owners are like, oh my gosh, what do I do? How do I know when it's time to hire? What's going on? You have to really look at your business and say, where is it going? What are we doing? And do we see value in this now? And you don't have to be on all of them all the time. Take one at a time. So if you're not in it, then start with LinkedIn, right? Start with Yelp, and then start building a base to go from there. You do have to be thoughtful. You do have to be strategic. you should start watching and listening and learning what the audience is going to do. Identify who your people are to do that, and look at what your competitors are doing. You don't have to be a social media rock star to rock social media, but you do have to spend some time doing it. So one of the reasons why the Hootsuite platform is good is because I tell my friends, family members, every Sunday, spend 3 hours and strategize your social media week and get it done for the whole week or the next 2 weeks or whatever it is. If you don't carve the time out to make it a priority, it just won't happen. And so you just sort of have to figure out where to go, what's going on. If you sell a product, there's no reason why you shouldn't be on social media. You have to be on social media. Social media is really geared for that. Service businesses, spend more time, figure it out, see what's going on. Okay, I'm going to open up the chat. I've got 4 minutes.
First audience question for Monique. You mentioned specific posting times. What time zone should you be following for this? What if you are targeting customers in multiple time zones?
So if you're following customers in multiple time zones, you need to post. So we had this issue with AARP. We did a lot of posting for AARP. AARP was not attracting any of their clients in Hawaii or on the West Coast because they always kept posting for Eastern Standard Time. So you just vary it up. So day 1, you do Eastern Standard Time. Day 2, you do Central Standard Time. Day 3, you do Pacific Standard Time, and follow the same principles to meet all those people.
Great. Next question. How do you share posts from others on Instagram? For instance, to promote an event you'll be attending as a speaker.
I use something called Regran, Regrann, and Regran will allow you to share it. And then that way you don't have any sort of copyright infringement thing. So you can download that app on your phone and you can share it from Instagram.
Thank you. Next question. Can you talk about which social network you should use to target specific customer demographics like age ranges?
Facebook, the king. So when you go on to do a Facebook ad, and I think we're going to do a second session of social media advertising, there was just not enough time in this one. It will allow you to target cities, states, age range, etc. So Facebook will give you all those things. You can do it also on Instagram as well. Just keep in mind that Instagram skews a lot younger than Facebook does. So you really have to start with who's your target market, who buys from you, and then you go from there.
What about using hashtags on LinkedIn? Is that important?
Not as important as it is on Twitter and Instagram. So what's happening is that people are using them to be clever, which is fine. I'm all for clever, but it's not going to index the same way.
Next question. My business is a side gig, but all of my social media is associated with my professional job. What can I do to ensure that they do not conflict?
So one is you should separate them, right? I have a girlfriend who works in finance for a very conservative company, and she also is a bodybuilder. And so she actually posts under a different name, like Anna, and she doesn't post under the same name. And even when she competes, she doesn't want to be searchable by Google by her real name. So if you are really worried about some sort of conflict of interest, then use a different name. And then don't focus so much on you, focus on your clients or focus on the services that you provide. So feel free to separate those things so they're church and state.
Thank you. And last question. How many times should I post each week to see results?
It depends what type of results, right? So there's results, it could be engagement, results could be grow your following. So those things are going to change. In order to grow your following, you really are posting amazing content 3 to 5 times a day. And that is really, that's exhausting. And just overwhelming. So I don't recommend that. I would recommend you start with 1 to 2 a week. Like I'm like the cobbler's kids have no shoes. We might post once a week on our platform because we're so busy doing everybody else's work. But 1 to 2 times, if you really want to start growing with it though, unless you really are going to become an influencer, Facebook wants you to pay to play. You got to pay Facebook and they will be the ones to kind of get your content out there.
Right. Thank you. Okay.
Are we good? I hope I didn't talk too fast. I hope everyone got it. I love seeing all your faces. This is so great. Hopefully, it was good for everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Jennifer, hi. I saw my friend Leslie, Daryl. I'm seeing all these Bruins around. This is really good. Oh, Geneva, everybody's waving. It's so good to see everybody. This is awesome. This is awesome. Thank you so much. Lisa, I'll let you take it away.
On behalf of the University of California, thank you for joining us today for our UC Alumni Career Network Interactive Workshop. It was a pleasure to connect virtually with each of you today, and we appreciate you making the time to be a part of today's event and hope you've gained valuable advice on leveraging social media for your business. I'd like to thank Monique for her time, generosity, and commitment to the University of California. The insights and advice you each shared today make me especially proud to be a part of the UC community. I hope you'll take a few minutes to provide feedback on today's event by following the survey link posted in the chat. The feedback you provide will help the organizers select topics for upcoming sessions. The UC Alumni Career Network will return on March 24th with a webinar on leading through challenging times. Please visit ucal.us/ACN for further details. Again, thank you all for joining us today, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Thank you, Bonique.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day. Happy Hump Day.